There's something about an old kitchen that feels like home, no matter when or where you grew up. The smell of butter toasting in a cast iron pan, the clink of glass jars lining the pantry, the way sunlight poured through lace curtains onto Formica counters. Back then, kitchens weren't just for cooking. They were the heart of the house. And tucked inside every cupboard and drawer were little helpers, clever, sometimes quirky gadgets that made daily life a little easier. Most of them have vanished from our modern kitchens, replaced by sleek appliances and digital timers. But once upon a time, these tools were the stars of the countertop. Today, we're taking a trip down memory lane to rediscover 10 old-fashioned kitchen gadgets that made life easier, but disappeared. So pull up a chair, maybe grab a slice of pie, and let's remember how things used to be. The butter mold. Back before butter came neatly wrapped in foil, families often bought in blocks or made it themselves. And that's where the butter mold came in. These little wooden or ceramic presses were shaped like flowers, seashells, or even farm animals. You'd pack fresh butter inside, press it down, then pop it out, beautifully shaped and ready to impress guests. It wasn't just about looks. In the days before refrigeration, shaping butter helped to hold together and stay cool longer. Plus, it made your table feel special, even on an ordinary Tuesday. Grandma didn't just serve butter, she served art. But as prepackaged butter took over and home churning faded away, so did the butter mold. Today, you'll only find them in antique shops or tucked in a drawer of someone's childhood home. Still, just imagine spreading a rose-shaped pat of butter on warm bread. That's the kind of small joy we've lost. The cherry pitter. If you've ever tried to pit cherries with a knife, you know the mess it makes. Juice everywhere. Fingers stained red. Seeds flying across the kitchen. That's why the cherry pitter was a summer favorite. This little hand crane gadget, often red with a metal plunger, could remove the pit in one clean push, leaving the fruit whole and ready for pies or preserves. Some models even had a tray to catch the pits, so you didn't have to dig them out of the sink later. In the 1940s and 50s, canning was a way of life. Families preserved fruit from their trees, and a cherry pitter made the job faster and cleaner. But as fresh cherries became available year-round in supermarkets, and as frozen fruit filled our freezers, the need to process bushels at once faded. Now, most of us just buy pitted cherries in a bag. Quick, convenient, but missing that summer ritual of gathering around a table, passing the pitter, and sharing stories with sticky fingers. The ice pick and ice box. Before every home had a refrigerator, families relied on the ice box, a wooden cabinet lined with tin or zinc, insulated with sawdust or cork. Each morning, the iceman would deliver a block of ice, which was stored in a compartment on top. That cold air would slowly sink, keeping food cool below. But ice melts, and when it did, it left a puddle. So every few days, you'd need to drain the box and chip away the leftover chunks with an ice pick, a long, sharp tool that looked like a tiny miner's pickaxe. Using it took care. One wrong move, and you could damage the lining or hurt your hand. But it was part of the rhythm of home life. By the 1950s, electric refrigerators took over. No more icemen, no more dripping trays, no more ice picks. We gained convenience, but we lost the quiet knock at the back door, the clink of tongs, and the way a block of ice could make a summer day feel just a little cooler. The Meat Mallet, not to be confused with a hammer. The Meat Mallet was a kitchen workhorse with a flat, ridged metal head. Its job? To tenderize tough cuts of meat. You'd lay a steak on a plate, cover it with wax paper, and give a few firm whacks. The ridges broke down the fibers, making it softer and more flavorful when cooked. This was especially important in the days when families stretched every dollar. Cheaper cuts of meat were common, and the mallet made them taste like something special. Some mallets even had a claw side for scoring meat before marinating. As supermarkets began offering more tender, pre-processed cuts, and as microwaves and fast food changed how we cooked, the meat mallet slowly disappeared from drawers. Now, it shows up mostly in antique stores or as a prop in old cooking shows. But if you've ever had a perfect chicken cutlet, you can thank this humble tool. The Jell-O Mold. Jell-O, the wiggly, colorful dessert that defined mid-century American tables. And no, Jell-O was complete without the mold. These weren't just bowls. They were intricate shapes, roses, stars, even fish made of aluminum or glass. You'd mix the powder, pour it in, chill it overnight, then unmold it with a quick dip in warm water. The result? A shiny, jiggly centerpiece that looked like it belonged in a museum. Jell-O molds weren't just for dessert. Savory versions with vegetables, tuna, or cream cheese were common at potlucks and church suppers. They symbolized a time when presentation mattered, even for gelatin. But as tastes change and convenience foods evolve, Jell-O lost its magic. Today, it's more of a joke than a centerpiece. And the molds? Most were melted down or tossed. But if you find one at a flea market, hold on to it. It's a piece of edible Americana. The hand crank and opener. Before electric openers and pull tabs, opening it was a two-handed job. The hand crank and opener, often clamped to the edge of the counter, had a sharp wheel and a crank you turned slowly, guiding the blade around the lid. It took patience, and sometimes a little muscle, but it was reliable. No batteries, no jams, just steady, satisfying turns. These were common in the early 1900s, when canned goods became a staple, especially during wartime and the Great Depression. As push-button openers and safety lids took over, the hand crank version faded. But there's something honest about that old tool. It didn't rush. It didn't fail. It just did its job, one turn at a time. The grapefruit knife. This one might surprise you. A grapefruit knife looks like a regular knife, until you see the curved, serrated edge and tiny tines on the tip. It was designed for one thing: to separate the juicy segments of a grapefruit from the bitter membrane, without making a mess. Back when breakfast meant eggs, toast, and half a grapefruit, believed to be healthy and slimming, this knife was a must-have. Women's magazines even gave tips on how to serve it elegantly. But as breakfast changed cereal, smoothies, protein bars, the grapefruit knife became a curiosity. Now, most of us just use a spoon or skip citrus altogether. But for a generation that believed in starting the day with a sharp knife and a sour bite, this little tool was a symbol of discipline and freshness. The percolator. Before drip coffee makers and pod machines, the percolator ruled the morning. This stovetop pot had a little tube in the center. As the water heated, it bubbled up, spraying coffee over the grounds again and again. You could hear it gurgle and pop, like a tiny kettle telling you breakfast was near. The smell? Strong. The coffee? Even stronger. Some say it was bitter. Others say it tasted like home. Percolators were common in diners, farm kitchens, and campfires. They were tough, simple, and built to last. But in the 1970s, automatic drip machines took over. They were quieter, cleaner, and promised better coffee. Still, on a cold morning, there's something comforting about that rhythmic bubbling. The sound of a slower, simpler start to the day. The cookie press. Holiday baking wasn't complete without the cookie press. A metal tube you loaded with dough, then squeezed to create perfect shapes. Stars, trees, reeds. You'd twist the disc at the end to change patterns, then press the trigger. Uff! Out came a delicate spritz cookie ready for the oven. These were the stars of Christmas trays, Easter tables, and school bake sales. The process was almost like play, fun for kids, satisfying for adults. But as store-bought cookies filled shelves and holiday baking became more about convenience, the cookie press got tucked away. Now, finding one with all its discs is like uncovering treasure. Because more than a tool, it was a bringer of joy, one sweet squeeze at a time. The bread box. Last but not least, the humble bread box. Before plastic bags and freezers, bread went stale fast. So families kept in a bread box, a small, lidded container, usually made of wood or tin, often decorated with flowers or fruit. It kept the loaf dry, protected from flies, and just a little fresher for another day. Placed right on the counter, it was both practical and pretty, a little kitchen landmark. Some had vents to control moisture, others had slots for slicing. But as sliced bread came in plastic wrap, and as freezers could store a loaf for weeks, the bread box lost its purpose. Today, it's mostly a decoration, a nostalgic nod to a time when bread was baked fresh, shared at meals, and treated like something worth protecting. These gadgets may seem small, even forgotten, But each one carried a piece of daily life: the rhythm of meals, the pride in homemade things, the quiet care that went into feeding a family. They didn't just make tasks easier, they made them meaningful. So the next time you open a can with a push of a button or brew coffee at the touch of a screen, take a second to remember the hands that once turned a crank, shaped butter into flowers, or listen for the Percolator song. We've gained speed, but sometimes we lost the soul. If any of these tools bring back memories, let us know in the comments. Did your grandma have a Jell-O Mold? Did your dad use a Meat Mallet? Share your stories. And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, give us a like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell. Because here at Nostalgic America, we believe the past is always worth revisiting. Until next time, keep the memories warm and the coffee strong.